Hi there, this is Johanna Lee, and today I wanted to talk about 5 different Excel things that I've taken for granted in the past. So, with virtual work, it's kind of tough. You don't see people, moving through spreadsheets or moving through their emails and seeing kind of how they work day to day. And so, one of the things that I took for granted was when I was an, first year associate at my first job. I was able to have a person over me being like, hey, try it this way, do it this way. And the only reason why it came to their attention that they should tell me that is because they saw me doing it in an inefficient or a difficult way. And so I was reading through some of these fallacies that are very common, and one of them was that once you understand something, you assume it must be obvious to everyone else. And so I was kind of thinking through what 5 things I feel like are second nature to me and should be shared with other people. So, being that this is an in-person tutorial, I can be that person that is leaning over your computer and telling you, hey, do this instead. So the first one was identified and told to me by one of my dearest friends, Alex, and she said, in your video where you showed hotkeys, I kind of forgot that Alt is the way to get into hotkey world. And so just as an FYI, any way that any action that you take in Excel that you want to do faster, a hotkey is the best way to do that. And so sometimes, it can be, a lot of activities that you do in Excel, and so you feel like you have to look up each single one, like through Google, but you don't have to do that. You just have to locate it in Excel and then figure out what that keystroke is. So, if I'm looking here and I see, hey, something in the data tab I do a lot, I would hit A, and then it's queries and connections. So I do 0, something like that. And so that is something that I often take for granted. I also, being on a Mac user for work now, Alt is a key that I miss dearly because it is not for Mac users originally. So that is number 1. Number 2 is, sometimes you'll get data like this and I'll see people, individually clicking on each of the rows to kind of make them, so that the data fits that row or fits the column. But also, again, you do not have to do that. What you can do is you can highlight these rows, and there is a hotkey for this, surprise, surprise, and it's Alt-OH-A for height and I for width. And so I use this quite a bit. And so for anyone that, picks up a spreadsheet, this one I feel like is more common where the columns are really hidden, especially if you download it from a browser or from like a file sharing site for a client perspective. And so what you can do then is you can do these hotkeys to kind of get the data visible right away. And so again, that's Alt-H-O-I and A. If you use these so frequently that you find yourself doing it every time you open a spreadsheet, what you can do is you can right click and add to the quick access bar. So again, if this is, if the height is mistaken like this, I can just click here because now it's on my quick access. So that's also something that I, when I look over people's shoulder at work and see them doing, like double click and then for each column and row, I'm like, there is a better way to do that. So that's one of the things that I think is like most applicable for any Excel user. Then another thing that I think is really cool and a lot of people don't use very often is the view feature for Excel. So if you're in an Excel file that has multiple tabs, so as you can see here, I have 3 tabs. You might be, on the first tab and then trying to like cross-reference something on the 3rd tab. And so, doing that, especially if you have an Excel, which I just recently have been unfortunate enough to have an Excel at work that is like more than 20 tabs. So I'm, click, 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 click all the way to get to where I want. So an easy way to kind of like see 2 things at the same time is to go to view and say new window. And so now I have the exact same thing, and the changes that you make in one are the changes that you make in another. another really cool feature about doing the view in this way is that I can make formulas across different tabs. And so, you know, I click here, I want the data to come from here. The formula in tab 1 will reference the tab that I'm in on my second view. So that's like very helpful as well. I probably could make a video and might, because, you know, content creation is the name of the game, about like kind of the different ways that you can use this view, and the like troubleshooting like view options like this. But this is a really good way to kind of see your same spreadsheet but in different tabs. So that's that. So believe it or not, we are on 3. So this is number 4. And this is pretty common. I think a lot of people hopefully should tell you this when you have your first job, but Alt-Tab is going to get you from program to program. And so, you know, if I have multiple Excel files up, so if I create a new Excel file and I do Alt-Tab, that really gets me back and forth. So you know, like how I was saying, where you have 2 views of the same worksheet and you're kind of looking at 2 different formats, you might have 2 Excels, maybe for, you know, a December month versus a March month, and so you'll want to kind of tab between the 2. This is a really easy way to kind of like flip back and forth and use multiple Excel files at once. And then the last one that I wanted to show you also might be commonplace, but you never know, so that's why I'm going to tell you this, is to switch between tabs in an Excel file. What you need to do is you hit Control and then page up and page down. So page up and page down. And so whatever that keystroke is, for me, I have an explicit button or key for page up and page down. A lot of times it's a shift function, so it's like Control Shift left and right on keyboards I've seen, or up and down depending on the keyboard that you have. I really like the long keyboards for the 10 keys, and then also for the page up, page down. So anyway, those are 5 just kind of quick things that kind of came to my mind as I was thinking through what are the things that I take for granted, you know, that someone taught me, but I haven't been able to teach for a while. So I hope you find at least one of these helpful. And if you have other tips like this, feel free to leave any comments below. So thanks for watching. Bye.